Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And in this video, we will actually start working on the Tableau. Uh, because in last video, it was a very short video which I created to just help you understand about the loading of the data set and what our data set is, which will be working on this guided project. Now, like I explained in the last session that how our data set looks like after it is imported. So our data set is cat versus dogs and how it's automatically imported and read by the Tableau. And it is smartly, defined also based on the type of data it has, like whether it's going to be string or it's going to be numeric and all that. But we it doesn't mean that we cannot do the adjustments based on the our understanding of the data. This is Tableau understanding, which is mostly correct to to an extent, but at times it will require some adjustment from our end as well. Let's say if there is a date which is being read as a string, but we want it to be, we know that particular data is date. In that case, we'll have to make the adjustment. So similarly in our data set, because our data set has no date, so we are good on that part. But there is a location, data which is defined in our data set or provided in our data set, this column. As Tableau understanding is not wrong, I would say, because this particular data is string or what based on the Tableau understanding, but we want it to be adjusted to um, location, right? It is the coordinates or the geographic um, value what we have for this. So when we select here on the click on this part, we get options. If you see here, we have date and time, date, all sort of uh, data types. We go to the geographical uh, part because these are the states of US. So we select this, and then if we see here, the icon changes to the geo part. So this is one change which we did, or the adjustment we did for our data. Now we go to our worksheet, which is here in the sheet 1 tab. When we go to worksheet, this is the main thing where we'll be working. And the major thing which we have to understand is about the measures and the dimensions. So we have based on the understanding, we uh, see that these two are dimension and rest all fields are defined under measures, and the rest of the part comes under this, like which has a lot of functionality aggregations which is being handled using these function the provided under these tools. So like for file, we will have, we can save option, or we can um, export as a version, or the PowerPoint, and those features are there. We can export as print or export as PDF. So we can always save our work. We can click on save as, and I will be going to my same folder where I wanted to save this workbook, and I will name it as my guided project. You can give any name based on your, I just prefer to give this name to my workbook, and when I click on save, it gets saved as my guided project work. And here we have a lot of functionality which is of use for us. So one is like this part, show me. When we click on this, we get right now it is not enabled because we don't have anything in our rows and column shelf. But generally what happens is if we put something in here, these Tableau automatically gives follows the best practice, and it gives us the best match for those values, the graphical part. So right now, we'll get back to this. Right now, we don't have anything here, but just I'm telling you about the functionality of the options available to us. The main part is the marks card. Whatever we do in the project depends on this area, and we call rows and columns. In Tableau, we call it as shelves, and this is for the filter, and this is marks, and these are the pills, because when we hover on this, if you see, it comes down to uh, pills form, like the pill shape. So that's the reason it is called pills, and it is green color for the measures and blue color for the dimensions. So that's how it is differentiated. um, So to start with, we will be going with the bar chart visualization for understanding how to create the first graph in Tableau. So, like I mentioned in my previous session when I was explaining about the data set, we are going to import and use that. I will not be going into the details about the variables and the type of variables and measures and dimension. I will consider that you have some idea about it. Even if not, I'll create some separate videos. But just to give high level understanding about what a measure is and what a dimension is. So, measure is something which describes, gives a description about something, and measures is which is like the quantity or the quantifies the, which is a kind of number itself. So that's an easy way to remember what's the difference between the two. Like, let's say we have different types of um, like, where do you live? So that's something which is describing your location, where you're staying. That is not a quantity or measure. It's something which is describing your stay or your address. So that's the reason we have location here in the dimensions. But if we see about the cat population, so it is like the number, right? It can be in hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, but it's a measurable thing. It's a quantity. It is not describing. But when we say which cat, or the breed of in the cat, it is like describing the description. Like when we are segregating the cat category, we are categorizing. So basically, measures helps us in segregating or segmenting the particular category or categorizing a particular uh, object or the um, whatever we are dealing with, basically. So like, we are dealing with the cat and dogs here. So if you want to categorize them, which breed of cat, which breed of dog. But when we want numbers, or we want to calculate, or when we want to aggregate something, it comes down to the measures part. I hope I was able to explain that to certain extent. To start with our first graph, I would like to let's say we want to have from our data set, whatever we have, we want to know the business question is, or business requirement is, that hey, I would like to know about which state has what kind of dog owning households or cat owning households. So they want to compare based on the location. So in that case, we will be creating a graph. So this is our situation or the question or the business requirement. and we want to visualize based on the data we have. So what are we going to do is like we want to get this location here on this shelf. Um, Shelf is like this space up here, which is like called shelf. So there are two ways to get this here. One, which is you have seen that I have dragged it. You can always remove it like this. It will go away. Another way is like double click, and this will give you the longitude and latitude, because it's a, you know, like we changed, right? It's a location. So it's going to give you the coordinates of the all these states. If you see here, it gives us the map, because we have not defined anything. So like it is already by default, it took it, because we did not, you know, segregated the measures and the location. We just clicked on the location. So in that case, but we don't want this. We don't have this requirement right now. So we will be removing this, and we will take the location here, and then we have dog owning household here, which we will be taking to. Let's say we want to go back. This is the undo button. We take it here, and same goes with cat owning household. We take it here, and if you see, let me just remove this. Yeah, so when I took dog owning here based on the location, Tableau is creating the bar, these graphs automatically. I did not select it. Like I said, it will take the best practice. It will follow the best practice. So when I go here on the show me, if you see here, we have a lot of options being enabled. These are all the options which we can use, or the graphs which are available to us, and whatever is not enabled as per the Tableau, these are not best practice based on the requirement or the data what we are going to do it. But it by default takes the best one out of all the available ones and gives us the visualization. We can always change that, but in our case we are not doing it. We are going ahead with what we have right now. Now whatever measures we have is on the vertical axis, and the horizontal axis, which is the x-axis, is all the dimensions, and this is all, the measures, because we want to see the quantity. So let's say California is the location here where we see that is the highest, where the dog owning households is 4,260. But when we go here on the Florida, it is 2,718. Here it is Texas, which is 3,960. So this is the location, and that's how we are gonna, get the understanding about our data. But we want the comparison, so we will go for the cat owning also, and we'll drop it here on the rows. And when we see here, Tableau automatically creates another graph, down to the what we already have it. So the first section gives us the understanding about the dog owning. Second one gives us the cat owning. Now the x-axis remains same because the location is same. We want the comparison based on the location, so it's not gonna change. But segmentation has happened here on the y-axis. We here we have dog, and here we have cat owning households. And when we see here, California, when we go on the the chart, it automatically shows here the location, California, and the cat and dog count. So this becomes very easy for us to compare each state or location, the count for the cat owning household and dog owning household. Here, when we go on to marks section, this is called the marks section, where we can customize our graphs based on the requirement. We see we have two subcards created here. One belongs to some of the, I mean, whatever we have here on the graphs, our shelf, row shelf, is creating a subcategory here. One belongs to dog and one belongs to cat. Now that we see the although the Tableau has given us, dual graphs, but we don't actually need it because it just confuses. If we see it, both the graphs shows us the same thing, right? There is not difference if in the value. It's just that it has created two separate graphs. So what we want to do is like we want to combine this graph into a single graph so that it's easier for the business users to understand their requirement, because otherwise they'll be like, why do we have these two different graphs showing up the same thing when there's no difference? So how do we do that? We go here and we select dual axis. So when we click on it, if you see here, automatically it gets merged, and now here we have dog owning, and this side it is represented as cat owning household, and this x-axis remains the same for the all the states. Now these are automatically given as circle, um, but what we want is like we don't want it to be a circle, so we go here on the marks card. Since it is automatically it is taking the circles, we can always change this to bar, and same thing we can do is for the dog as well. We select bar, and now we see the color difference. So one has dog is this orange color and blue color is for the cat. So when we it becomes little better to visualize now, right? Because it's in the same, just differentiated with the colors. So, although we have done a lot of changes to our graph to make it look good, but we still have certain issues with it. Um, Although it is, now differentiated based on the colors, but still there are certain places like here, if we see that, it's not visible to clearly to the eyes. So why don't we go back and we make it the way it was to circle? And now if you see here, it's little more visible to our eyes and it's easier to differentiate the colors and the values for the dogs and the cats owning part. The another thing is like the closeness, like it's like to certain points it's like really into each other, and it's not like here it's not at all visible still. So how do we fix that? We go here to the x-axis, and uh, we can change the tick thing of the edit by using the edit axis, and then we go to tick marks. We go here to fixed. We make the tick interval to 500, and we close this. We Yeah, so we close this, and same thing we do here. Edit axis, tick marks, fixed. Make this 500. Yeah, so now it is better, the visibility. And now we will see how we can rename the sheet. So we go in here where we have it written as sheet name, sheet 1. We right click here, we get the option called rename. We click this rename option, and it gives, it becomes blue color. Now we can type. Let's give it as um, location wise ownership, and we to enter, and the moment we put enter here it gets saved immediately, and it comes down here, location wise ownership. We can also see this option here, as well. We can also hide this using highlighted. We can edit it or we can format it based on our like of the visualization. So that's possible to do. Now that we have done a lot of changes to our workbook, one thing which I would like to mention is that Tableau is not going to auto save your work. So it's always a good practice that we go to the file here and we save our work, or we use Control S from the keyboard, because we will not like to lose our work. And since we have already saved our project work, it's saved, but we make sure that we also keep updating our changes to our dashboard or the graphs or visualization, whatever we are doing in our sheet. So this was the first graph which you have created, and I think it would have been little easier and better to understand that how the Tableau works, and the how we import data set and how we create the graph. This is very basic, because I believe that if you go step by step, it's better to understand and have hands on. So yeah,